Happy draft day, Christian. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, look, I'll drop what I'm doing just to come on and talk a little ball with you. Man, I'm great. It's always good to be here. Thanks for having me on as always.
Of course, my brother, the one, the only, the founder, the NFL insider from the Daily Blitz, Christian Simpson here on Sports from the Couch. It is draft time here in the NFL in the city of Chicago. I put on the bat signal, and as always, Christian is amazing with his time, and you were able to jump in. I have some questions. I have some things I need to talk about. So before we get into the agenda, what has been grinding your gears heading into this Thursday draft day? A big moment for organizations, for players. What has been kind of going through your brain before we go through mocks, before we go through what the Bears are going to do? You've been in the laboratory. You got your final mock draft coming out very soon, and you got a bunch of bites that you're going to be doing with the bunch of different podcasts. Where are you at right now heading into Thursday?
Man, I'm really curious to see what the 49ers are going to do. Are they going to go with Mac Jones? Are they going to go with Justin Fields? Or will they go with Trey Lance? I think that's the $1 million question right now, because I think we know who Jacksonville is fixated on, Trevor Lawrence. Even have an event going on out there when they announced this pick. The Jets, they're fixated on Zach Wilson. But I've seen a couple of mocks, man, where they've had Justin Fields going to New York, and they've had Zach Wilson going to San Francisco. So to me, I'll just say this: the draft starts at pick number 4, because we know the first 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks without a question. So I think that's the thing that's really been capturing my attention the last couple of days.
So I guess that's where we can kind of start. We'll go nationally, and then we'll jump here locally. Let's go with this: Mac Jones or Justin Fields?
Wow! You came out the bullpen throwing a fastball.
This
Wow!
question of the draft, right? At this point, we want to know what Shanahan is going to do, what Lynch is going to do. It's kind of the question that's going to be the domino that has everything else falling.
Before I get into my answer, I'm going to tell you, one of my guys, his name is Joe Grisso. Great guy, huge San Francisco 49ers fan. We've been talking the last couple of weeks, and he said, he really follows the 49ers like that. And he said that John Lynch wants one guy and Kyle Shanahan wants another guy. So there's some confliction at the table right now, it seems like. But to answer your question, wow. All right. If you're looking at athletics, you're going Justin Fields, because he can do a lot of things. But if you're looking for consistent quarterback play, I'm talking a guy that can consistently get the ball down the field, move within the pocket, I'm going to lean toward Mac Jones.
So if that's the case, then where do you think Trey Lance kind of falls in this entire landscape of quarterbacks that are going to go early? Is there going to be somebody that you see kind of sneak up out of nowhere? Where are you when it comes to everybody that's not Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson?
Well, I could see New England trading up, which is something we don't see them do, and we're not accustomed to seeing, because normally New England's trading back and they're trading out of the first round of the draft. But when I look at Trey Lance, man, I love his gameplay. I love the way he plays. Kind of reminds me, he's like a poor man's Josh Allen. The ability to run, the ability to make throws on the run, move with his feet. And he's a big guy. He's 6'4". So that's why I kind of made that comparison, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Josh Allen is about the same height, maybe the same size as the Trey Lance. And that's one of the major similarities between the two. But when I look at Trey Lance, there are a couple teams that I could see going after him. New England, of course, let him sit behind Cam for a year, learn how to be a pro, learn how to obtain Josh McDaniels' offense, and learn the Patriot way. So that would be one team. Carolina, possibility. Is Sam Darnold really your long-term solution? I don't think so. I just think, he's a little that piece in the middle that's going to hold things over until you get your guy for the foreseeable future. But maybe it could pan out with Sam Darnold. And then Denver. Let's look at the Denver Broncos, because ever since Peyton Manning retired, it's been like a rotating circle of quarterbacks for Denver. Trevor Siemian. They thought Brock Osweiler was going to pan out. He goes to get money, and he's not even in the league now. You look at Case Keenum, Joe Flacco. It just hasn't panned out with Drew Lock. Ever since Peyton Manning retired, Denver hasn't made the playoffs. They haven't sniffed the playoffs yet. And look at where Peyton Manning is now. He has one of those gold jackets, something we expected. So I think Denver would be a really good fit for Trey Lance.
And what about this news? It seems like it was breaking just a few minutes ago about Teddy Bridgewater heading over to the Denver Broncos. How do you think that changes any of their fortunes in the draft?
I think they would still look at a quarterback because, again, I'm thinking long term. Don't get me wrong. I love Teddy Bridgewater. He's been a great story. I don't think anybody expected him to play football ever again after that knee injury he had a couple years ago. But here he is. He's still here. But here's my thing. You know who he is to me? He's kind of like from that Alex Smith cloth. Going to stay within his box. He's not going to throw the ball 40 or 45 times a game because that's not him. He's going to stay within his lane. And I think if Denver does draft a quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater would be a pretty solid guy to learn from.
So besides the quarterbacks in this draft, who are you most excited about heading into draft night? Who do you think is the guy who's going to change the fortunes of an organization for a quarterback, for a defense? Is there somebody out there besides the quarterbacks who are the queen of the prom? Who is the positional player or the defensive player or the wide receiver? Who is somebody that you're looking at besides QB that you're excited about?
I'm looking at Kyle Pitts from Florida. I cannot say enough about this guy. Mikey, we talk a lot during the games, and I kept telling you during the regular season, during college football, look out for number 84 for Florida. He's Kyle Trask, go-to guy for a reason. 6'5", 6'6", playing tight end, but moves fluidly like a wide receiver. I really wouldn't be surprised if he made that position change and he's being labeled a wide receiver, has the wide catch radius, a guy that can just go up, get the football, and he creates mismatches all throughout the field. A lot of people have said he's like a Darren Waller, which I kind of see a little bit. I see a more athletic Travis Kelce, just a guy that you can place all over the field, line him up wide, line him up in the slot, and it just seems like wherever you line him up, he's going to get the ball, and he's going to be productive and make something happen with it. Then I was actually talking to my cousin about Kyle Pitts, and he said this. I didn't think about this one, and these are his words, not mine. So whoever watches this, please, these are his words, not mine. He even compared him to a little bit of Megatron, which is saying something. I mean, but Megatron was just so much quicker than Kyle Pitts is. I mean, some of Megatron's peers have referred to him as the LeBron James of the NFL. But yeah, I'm looking at Kyle Pitts. I think he's going to be great for years to come. Just a phenomenal offensive playmaker. And these are the guys that you want to build around for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a Bears fan, if I'm going to be objective about this, if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, that is somebody who I try to go up and get. That is somebody, while you need offensive line help, if you want to keep Russ happy, if you want to just kind of evolve that offense, if you're Pete Carroll and you're just going to give that carrot just a little bit out there to keep him coming, I think you go after a talent like that. There's 5 really good wide receivers in this draft. I think if you're the Chicago Bears, and that's our little segue, my friends, to the Windy City, where if you're the Chicago Bears, what do you do at this point? If you do not move up or down, what are the Bears doing at pick 20?
You could go wide receiver, like a Kadarius Toney, a guy who's flashy, can kind of work the middle, can go up and get the ball. You need someone to complement Allen Robinson because right now they don't have that. Or you could go offensive line, potentially whoever's there, or you could go cornerback because that's the problem that they've had the last couple years. And you just lost Kyle Fuller, so why not fill that void while it's right there? My advice, and the thing I always say about these teams when they draft, you have to draft who you feel is best available. That's the way I look at it. Whoever is the best player on the board, take your shot, pick them, and see what you can get out of them.
I think my big issue with Ryan Pace and this front office, including Matt Nagy, is I don't trust them regardless if they're picking at 20 or somewhere else. I don't think they earn the benefit of the doubt. While they might hit on a trade for Khalil Mack, or they do get Roquan Smith, or the bottom line is you missed in the biggest opportunity that you had with Mitch Trubisky. You missed on Anthony Miller. You missed on Kevin White. There's a lot of L's on this man's track record. But,
Oh yeah.
but with
Oh
that,
yeah.
let's say taking Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, poof, they're out of it. Out of these quarterbacks, who would you draft if you're the Chicago Bears? And who do you think they would actually draft in that position?
I could see a situation where Kyle Trask could fall to the Bears, not in the first round, because I don't think he's a first round guy, because the stock kind of plummeted a little bit toward the end of the year. But I would say a guy like a Kyle Trask. I think he's the type of quarterback that Matt Nagy wants. Big guy, big strong arm quarterback, can move the pocket, can run, can extend plays. So I'll definitely say him. I'll say Kyle Trask.
If you are Ryan Pace, are you willing to invest and give up everything for a chance at Justin Fields and or Mac Jones?
If you want to get back in Bears fans' good graces, then yeah, you do. Because the last time you traded so much, you got a guy, Mitchell Trubisky, when you passed up, sorry, Bears fans, you passed up on Patrick Mahomes, you passed up on Deshaun Watson, you got stuck with Mitchell Trubisky, and how'd that experiment work? It didn't.
So I think my big issue then is, why should I trust this team, this regime, where, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Nagy was brought in because he's a quarterback whisperer. Look what he did with Alex Smith. Look at that offense he helped groom Patrick Mahomes in. His job then was to develop a quarterback, when all I saw with Mitchell Trubisky is this downgrade, but not even that. Even when you saw a little hope, it was never something where you thought that they had figured it out. It was, oh, they got lucky, or he had a good game. It never seemed like everything was clicking. So even if that's the case, how can I trust the Chicago Bears if they somehow they Trey Lance, for example, right? One of the top tier guys, but a guy who played in a small college, in one of the bigger games that he had, didn't necessarily play all that great, not a lot of film. How am I supposed to trust this regime to build around them and coach them up and get the best out of them?
Well, I'll say this about Matt Nagy and, him being the quote unquote quarterback whisperer. Man, he never really got the chance to develop a guy that he wanted. And that's the one thing that I always explain to Bears fans, because if you look at it, when he came in 2018, the year when the Bears were the talk of the NFL, won 12 games, they're division champs, and they get to the playoffs. When a new head coach comes in and he implements his system, defenses don't know what's going on. So he was able to get away with that. The problem with Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears offense has been they haven't built that offense up to the point where they can keep a defense on its P's and Q's and on its toes. You see what I'm saying? Like, look at the Rams under Sean McVay. Very, very balanced the first year, and then they were very run heavy the second year when they got to the Super Bowl. Look at Kansas City in a way, trying to implement the run a little bit more, not just having Patrick Mahomes take those shots down the field, having him run it a little bit more. You really haven't seen any type of innovative creation within the Chicago Bears offensive system, and that's been the problem. You expect it. You know what they're going to run. They're either going to hand it off, or Trubisky's going to think and dump it like he was the last couple years. So something has to give.
Christian Simpson, one of our best friends in the entire world, joins us today here on Sports from the Couch as we get ready for draft weekend. You can follow him all over the universe. He's on Twitter at NYSFinest90. Follow the brand at Daily Blitz _61. They're on Instagram at the Daily Blitz _61. And of course, give them a like on Facebook at the Daily Blitz. And we are here in that season. It's like Christmas for us here in the NFL. He has his mock drafts out. Go to the dailyblitz.blog. Make sure you guys are checking that out. And before we get out of here, we'll make sure Christian lets us know what the itinerary is for the rest of the week for him on Media Row as we get that. But before we kind of finish off and we get ready for Thursday, Christian, let me ask you this. What do the Bears end up doing come Thursday?
I'm going to say offensive line help. I think they're going to go with the offensive line. I think they're going to play it safe early on. So best offensive lineman on the board, whether it's a guy like a Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, or Tevin Jenkins, a guy that I've seen them linked to in several mock drafts out of Oklahoma State. So they need a guy that can come in and be that franchise offensive lineman for the next 10 or 15 years or so.
I guess this is the last one then before we do we pay the bills, as they say in the industry. What happens? Does Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson get traded in the NFL draft?
Wow, putting me on the spot again, man. I can see it because this is NFL draft night. This is a night where you truly have to expect the unexpected. Like I said the other day on another show I contribute for called The Prime, I said 14 years ago this week during the NFL draft, the New England Patriots traded for, I don't know, some guy named Randall Moss, a.k.a. Randy Moss. And I think that worked out really well for them. Remember those days? Tom Brady?
Decent, huh?
Yeah. So it's very possible we could see a retirement potentially be announced. Larry Fitzgerald. So we'll see what direction everything goes in. But this NFL draft is going to be fun. It's going to be crazy tomorrow night. I can't wait for it.
With that, we're going to be on Media Row today on April 28th. 2021, Wednesday night when this drops. You'll be doing another show. What do you got for us? Media week. It is draft week. Tell me, my boy, what do you got planned for us?
Well, tonight I'll be on a show called The Nerd Zone. You can catch me on, as I just said, The Nerd Zone tonight about 7:45 Central Standard Time with my guys, Ronnie Kuntz, John Danzo, Ryan Shaw, Christopher Lawrence, talking a couple other things, sports, but we will be discussing the NFL draft tomorrow on the Instagram page. I will be recording a special episode of my IGTV series called What's on Tap. And in case you don't know what What's on Tap is, I normally film it and record it during the regular season. And I look back at what caught my eye in college football, and then I look ahead, or as I like to say, what's on tap for the schedule, the up-and-coming schedule of NFL action that day, just the things that are catching my eye. So if you guys have been following me on Instagram and you have been watching that show, thank you. And if tomorrow's going to be your first time, I want to give you a welcome in advance. And 2 hours before the NFL draft tomorrow, I will be releasing my final mock. I can't wait. It's here.
It's Christmas time for us football fans, and nobody covers it better than our man, Christian Simpson, all over the universe at the Daily Blitz. Twitter at NYSFinest90, at Daily Blitz _61. That Instagram channel is the Daily Blitz _61. Give him a like on Facebook at the Daily Blitz. And of course, make sure you guys are keeping up to date, including when he drops those mock drafts at thedailyblitz.blog. You guys have been listening to us here on Sports from the Couch on Mercado Airwaves. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and you guys can follow the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. And make sure you like, rate, review, and shares wherever you get your favorite podcasts at Mercado Airwaves. And you can see our pretty faces on youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network and on Facebook, facebook.com/Mercado Airwaves. To my brother, Christian Simpson, thank you. Enjoy your week. It is time for you to shine. It is NFL draft week over at the Daily Blitz in the NFL, our community. Thank you, Christian. You're the best, my brother.
Absolutely. And I just want to give a huge shout out to my family, my mother, my sister, Taylor, my dog, Siebes, my dad, and everybody who's been supporting me. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and I'm ready, man.
For Christian Simpson, I'm Mike Mercado. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on Mercado Airwaves. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and enjoy the NFL draft.